It's drilled to left field. Is it high enough? See ya! A walk-off grand slam, and the Yankees win.
And he drives one to right field over toward the line. Long run for Laureano, and he runs it, and the Mets win the ball game.
Episode 86 of The Burrows. As always, Kevin Buck, Michael Merlo coming to you for BTO Media. Mike, busy morning today. Winter meetings, day 2. Edwin Diaz is a Dodger. Kyle Schwarber's a Philly. We can start the Diaz route. I don't think you're thrilled about it.
Not thrilled about it. Not thrilled about it when you see the contract. You know, I understood if the Mets didn't want to go to 5 years. I would have understood that. But at 3 years, $69 million, $23 million a year, the Mets' final offer was 3 years, $66. You know, I think you're going to say this, and I sort of agree. They probably just didn't want to get married here again, right? Like, I'm a little mad that the Mets weren't able to go to 3 years, 69. But let me ask you, if the Mets went to 3 years, 69, is Edwin Diaz a Met right now?
No,
I don't know if I don't think the answer is yes. So I think Diaz wanted out, and I don't think the Mets were that motivated.
The Mets probably had to blow him out by like 20, 30 million overall to get him back in Queens. I don't think it was ever in the cards. We did the budget breakdowns and possible scenarios. We did 4 possible scenarios for the Mets, but what we kept coming back to is we don't want Diaz on a 4 or 5 year deal. He gets the 3 for 69, and initially you look at it and you're like, the Mets couldn't match that. They didn't want to match that. They really didn't want him that much. They offered him a lesser contract. The contract they offered him, I know he didn't come back to them for a final offer, but I don't think that they wanted him bad by looking at that contract. What was it, 3 for 65 with deferrals? Like that sounds like they didn't want him back that much.
Yeah, it was 3 for 66, so $1 million less a year with deferrals. Don't know how much the deferrals were, but yes, I think when Met fans look at the contract and they see 3 years, $69 million, they're going to be upset. And you know what? They have every right to be upset because they've seen David Stearns come in here and do things his way that this fan base is not used to. And it hasn't led to this, successful franchise. It hasn't led to a ton of winning. And now if David Stearns plays with fire again and allows Pete Alonso to walk like he did Diaz, then he's really going to start to hear it from the fan base. So he shouldn't be here to please the Met fan. But at some point, you got to bring back some homegrown talent, some lovable player, beloved player by the fan base.
You have to. But the big problem here for me is we can't sit here and act like Diaz didn't want to be a Met, so that's fine, and it's a good job by the Mets. They were in it. Celebrate him. I know you're not doing that, but some Mets fans are going to try and spin it that way. You lost him to the Dodgers. Your direct competition is the Los Angeles Dodgers. You want to get to a World Series? That's the team in the National League. They've won it the last 2 years. Now, their biggest weakness, their only flaw, bullpen, they just added the best closer in baseball when you could have had him, I bet, for 5 for 90, 5 for 100, whatever, 4 for 100. It's irresponsible spending, but I think there's still a path the Mets could have had him back and could have done more to try and get him back.
But I'm not here, and I'm not advocating for David Stearns to have spent 4 for 100, 5 for 100 on him. I wouldn't have done that. I would have said, okay, goodbye.
But why does it matter that much because of Cohen? All we talk about is how Cohen has no budget. Why does the extra $2 million a year matter?
I understand that, but at the same time, you can't just recklessly spend. You have so many other holes on this team that have to get filled. So you can't just recklessly spend, drive that luxury tax penalty up. It doesn't make sense to pay not only the tax purposes of the penalties, but also the draft pick compensation you lose when you go so far over and the international bonus money that you sign. All these teams want to spend as less money as possible to win a World Series. And the Mets and the Yankees and the Dodgers, their number is always going to be high, but can you lower it a little bit? And let's not be irresponsible by giving them that crazy of a contract.
And you can't be so reactionary because the Mets are still going to spend money this offseason. Their team's going to look completely different than it even does just today. They made the Nimmo move. They've made other moves with Williams, but from now until opening day, the team will look vastly different than what we already see, and it already looks very different from the end of last year. So you can't really rip on them until the season starts and you see the team that they're actually rolling out.
That's what I don't understand about all these fans freaking out today. I mean, everybody, my phone, everybody is freaking out. And that's what I don't get. Like, the first two moves of the offseason did not go the Mets' way, right? And one of them went very poorly in Diaz. SCHWARBER kind of felt like a little bit of a dream. They were they never would have went to 5 years. We'll get to that in a little bit. But Diaz, yeah, that one hurts. That one stings. But we act like it was some guarantee that he was coming back. We act like there's nobody else out there that could replace him. And we act like they're done spending. They haven't started. So let's see how this plays out, please.
I said the same thing last year, totally different with Soto. Like, you have to sit here and actually, before you just blow a gasket, look at the team they have at the end of February. And then I sat here and ripped them because I didn't think the team was good enough. But we have to just chill in December, especially with this Diaz move. You got Devin Williams, who I think is not the guy he was in Milwaukee. I don't think he'll return to being the guy he was in Milwaukee, but I think he'll be better than he was with the Yankees this past year. And you have at least a setup guy you feel good about, even though I know he's getting the ninth right now. They could still add a closer. They could still go out and get McGill from Milwaukee. They could go out and get Peralta, and you had a really good starter. And then you had Michael King, and then you're saying, oh my God, the collection of arms they have is way better than last year. You just can't jump and go crazy at David Stearns and at Steve Cohen because of the second move of the entire offseason.
You can't do it. I'm not freaking out yet. Now, if they miss out on Pete and maybe Bellinger signs elsewhere and they're really left empty-handed, okay, then we can start freaking out.
Maybe the bad scenario is Pete goes to the Red Sox, Yankees get Bellinger back. There's not really a bat to trade for. Do they settle for Bregman? It's one of those scenarios where you just don't love it anymore.
That's a nightmare. That's a nightmare scenario.
That's a nightmare. And that's a real possibility.
Like, I feel like they need to sign both of those guys. To be competitive next year, I feel like you need to sign both of them.
And I think they're trying to.
I think it's very possible. And I think
and we can both acknowledge both ways are possible. It's possible that Alonso says, I'm done here with playing with the Mets every other offseason. I want to commit to a team, and Boston's going to give me that. It's possible that Bellinger says, I love being in New York last year. I love being in the Bronx last year. I'm going to go for even a closer deal to what the Mets gave me, and it's not just going to be what's the best contract at the end of the day. And it's possible the Yankees also give him that. And then it's realistic that you're sitting there 2 weeks from now and saying, like, we really need another 3 bats, and there's not many left.
And he's not signing any big rotation arm. So
no, he's not.
That also most likely has to that move has to be made via trade. Maybe he signs King. Okay, that's not the big move. That doesn't raise the ceiling of your starting rotation the way you need it to.
Yep.
It's just
Eric Chavez put a thing laughing at the Mets on his story.
I saw Eric Chavez. Yep. All good. All good.
Tough. Philip Rivers is back.
How available do you think SKUBAL is? I think the last couple of days, he really seems like
he's probably available.
I think he's on the move.
And I think that's the Mets. That's just got Mets written all over it. It's the perfect fit. They're the team that hasn't spent on the starting rotation yet. They spend more money than everyone in baseball. And even if Stearns' philosophy is, I don't like to spend on pitching, I like to piece together these young guys going forward, you can't pass up on TARIK SKUBAL. You just cannot. But there is a realm of thinking where Stearns says, I didn't get Alonso or Bellinger, or I only got one of them. I don't want to just get rid of all these position players in the prospect pool either. So that would hold you back from getting SKUBAL. But, I mean, if the Mets don't make this move, that's just an embarrassing. Like, you lose value on this trade, and you sleep great at night.
What does it look like? That's my issue.
I don't know.
Like, what does it look like? You have to keep McClain, in my opinion, no matter what. And I think you could do it without him.
I think you have to give Sproat and Tong then, though. And Mets fans like to say no to that, but I say, like, I'll drive them.
Okay, so Sproat and Tong, they're gone. I'm probably good with that. Sproat and Tong are gone. You throw in Mark Vientos in there.
Yeah, but he doesn't move the needle at all.
How much does he move the needle?
Not
He's
at
a
all.
major league ready player.
Yeah, but he's not a good major league player. You're getting the best pitcher in the league, and he's 28. Like, you're giving probably your two best prospects along with Tong and Sproat.
Well, Tong is one of their best prospects.
I know, but along with those guys, whoever the two next best position players are,
yeah, you're not getting Benj and Jet Williams. You get
it's
one.
For SKUBAL, though.
You're getting one of those guys.
Yeah, but then who's the next guy after that?
AJ McEwing, something like that.
And then I'm asking for those four, and I'm saying I want Beatty or Mauricio.
Yeah, no, you're not getting Beatty. You're not getting Beatty. You can have Mauricio. You're not.
And every time David Stern says, no, we're not giving this guy up, I'm saying, you called me for TARIK SKUBAL. You called me for the guy who's won the last two Cy Youngs.
And then
he's not even 30 yet.
And then he calls the Dodgers.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to go and call the Dodgers right now, and I'm going to get their 5 best prospects, and you can get the 8-inning game followed by Edwin Diaz in the NLCS. Thanks so much for calling us and being interested. Thank you. And then Stearns just says, all right, let's go get Freddie Peralta for a year.
I'm in for that, by the way.
You're in for that, but
I'm in for
versus
Peralta.
SKUBAL?
I'm in for Peralta.
Look at what happened last year, and I know they didn't add a Peralta. They didn't jump at a Crochet trade. They make the playoffs with Crochet easy. They win 7 more games with Crochet last year. Yeah. Why are we not just going after SKUBAL no matter what? The owner will spend whatever it takes.
And I remember the discussions and the players being involved, right after that had come out, and it was centered around Jet Williams. I would have done the deal. And Sproat. It was like Jet Williams and Sproat and somebody else.
The way we view these young players from now until 12 months from now is totally different, and the 5 guys I just gave you will be incredibly less valuable a year from now, and TARIK SKUBAL will still be TARIK SKUBAL.
Yeah, but I also agree with this point that I don't think it's as much as you're saying because it's a rental.
It's not a rental. The Mets are getting him.
Right, but he's a rental.
Years.
He's not trading 13 years of control.
If the Mets or Dodgers are getting him, you're saying to them on the phone, I know you're re-signing him. He will not be there for 1 year. You're giving me what I want. It's TARIK SKUBAL.
But you can't do that because the Mets and Dodgers could not extend him until I agree. If the Mets or Dodgers trade for him, he is a Met or Dodger for the next 10 years plus. I get that. But you're not trading 10 years of control. You're trading 1 year of control.
Yeah, but you're trading TARIK SKUBAL. You're not trading Freddie Peralta for 1 year with the expectation that he gets re-signed. It's the best pitcher in baseball, arguably the second or third most valuable asset in the entire sport.
But just think about this. When the Yankees traded for Soto, they gave up a lot, but it wasn't close to the package that the Nationals got in return from the Padres when he had 2.5 years of control. The Yankees gave up a lot. I'm not saying they didn't give up a lot for Soto, but it was 1 year of control.
What was the first thing we all said when Soto got traded?
You have to
Mets are going to be all over this in a year. There's no bigger spender than the Mets. So if I'm Detroit, I'm saying, I don't care. I don't think you're losing them. And San Diego also is willing to spend money. They're not desperate for the best package. They're obviously going to seek it out, and they got it. And they got a great package for Soto. But Detroit's going to sit there and say, I have the Dodgers on the line. I have the Mets on the line. I have the Yankees on the line. I have the Red Sox on the line, Toronto, whoever. Even if you don't, you make it up.
Yeah.
And you make them believe it. New York Post gets a hold of that after the Dodgers or Yankees get SKUBAL. Mets could have had him. Oh, David Stearns, you're in good graces with your fan base now. No, the Tigers have massive leverage over these teams in this.
He didn't want to give up Ronnie Mauricio.
You wouldn't give up 5 guys who might not impact winning in 2026.
I know 2 of those guys or 3 of those guys are impacting winning in 2026.
I don't think both of Sproat and Tong are.
I think Tong is at some point.
And then I don't think that either of the 2 hitters are going to.
But
I'm one of them.
But I'm good with trading both of the pitchers. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm not okay with
If I'm Detroit, I'd say yes to both of the pitchers, Mauricio, Benj/Williams, whoever they prefer, and then I want the next best guy.
I'm not trading. There's two can't miss guys for me. McLean and Benj. Those are two can't miss guys. I have to have them. So I have to have those guys.
If it's Sproat, Tong, Jet Williams, Mauricio, and the next best prospect, Benj not touched, McLean not touched.
Yeah, we could get my car. Yeah, you get my car. We'll stuff in the back and we'll go.
Prospect hugging.
But I think
you're a prospect hugger.
I don't think McLean is prospect.
The Wilpons don't own your team anymore. You don't need to keep Ahmed Rosario and Dom Smith anymore.
Right, but McLean is not prospect hugging, right? Like this guy,
he's a major league pitcher.
He's a legitimate major league pitcher that has a chance to be a high-end 2 or a potential 1, okay? And I would love if he was a 2, what SKUBAL is the 1. And Benj is prospect hugging, but I haven't seen a prospect like this in the Mets system ever. A guy that is...
Since Francisco Alvarez.
No, like... the kind of player, the 5-tool, the way this kid projects, big guy, tall guy, I should say, long, nice swing, good in the outfield, athletic. I'm excited.
You excited about him as a baseball player or just to watch him?
I'm excited about him as a baseball
just
player.
To see him every day.
I'm excited about him as a baseball player. You gotta make it weird.
McLean is the piece in this where the Tigers wouldn't even push the Mets. I don't think they'd ask about it, obviously, but the Mets, you just say the whole reason I'm getting SKUBAL is for both of them to be together. If I don't have both of them together, I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And the Tigers would understand that. So you say I could follow up with Sproat and Tong, who both showed promise.
Here's the one thing that I think is very interesting from the Tigers' perspective. They don't think, and I saw this, I think, from Buster Only a couple of days ago or yesterday, whatever it was. If they trade SKUBAL, you're essentially getting 18 to 20 years of control with the players that you get, and they're very high-end prospect / major league ready guys. And it's not the way to do business. It's not the way I would want my team to do business, but in their case, it does make a lot of sense. If they're not going to spend, if they're not going to pay him, if they're not going to spend around him, then it does make a ton of sense for them to move him and get that many years of control from so many high-end possible talent.
And another reason why I think they'd get so much value back is because you also have the option still of trying to win the World Series this year. You have an American League that you probably look at as open still, and you're not stuck in the National League where the best team of all time is sitting at the top of it. You're looking at the AL and saying, you know what, if we have TARIK, SKUBAL, and if I could nail 2 or 3 cosmetic lineup moves that don't cost a lot, we could win the World Series. We can get there and put up a fight. That's what a GM's going to say to themselves. And that's why I only think they do it if they get the big return, which I also expect them to get and take.
The difference in the National League could be this guy.
It could be.
Like if you build...
That's why if the Dodgers are in on this, Detroit's got all the leverage on the Mets or the Phillies or whoever wants to jump in.
If you could build a solid foundation around this guy and you get him and you have a legitimate team and you win the division, you don't have to win 100 games, just win the division. And you could put him out there 3 times in a playoff series against the Dodgers. That's the one thing that could stop the Dodgers. He could be the Dodger stopper.
It is. And Milwaukee didn't have it last year. Philadelphia didn't have it last year. And I don't think Toronto had it.
No.
You have a guy that actually could go out and just shove. We've seen him do it with Detroit the last few years. I think it's totally worth it. I think it's worth every prospect, every player that they want to get outside of McLean.
I'm in.
So if they call and say final offer, or we're sending them to the Dodgers because they have a great offer on the table for us, and say Sproat, Tong, Benj, Williams, Mauricio, you're saying no?
I mean, if you're telling me that he's going to the Dodgers, then no, I'm not saying no. But
that's what I would do if I had a deal with the Dodgers. I'd be like, Mets, last chance.
I don't think Stearns does it. So I don't think Stearns does it.
Will Carson Benj likely impact winning as much as TARIK, SKUBAL?
No, but
no. But I wouldn't start with that deal if I was Stearns just to get it
no,
done.
but like 2 guys that could potentially play center field are now being gone. The 2 potential center fielders for the next 15 years are gone.
Cedric Mullins only signed a 1-year deal. You can get him back.
Okay.
Perfect fit. You still have your guy Tyrone.
Here we go.
Schwarber back with the Phillies. We had thought Mets would be an option. Reds were obviously an option. And Pirates jumped in on this. He had a lot of suitors, it sounded like. He was the first domino to fall always. Diaz dropped a minute after. And Schwarber's back in Philadelphia. I think he wanted to be there. Obviously, they wanted him back. They showed it with the contract. Your thoughts?
By the way, you broke both of the pieces of news to you. You broke both of the signings for me because I was sleeping late night, woke up at like 11:20 because my phone was nonstop. I heard it buzzing nonstop. It's like, okay, no alarm. Go on the phone. First message I see from Kevin Bunk. Wake up, all caps. Okay.
MLB Insider.
I'm up. Then I click. Diaz is a Dodger. I throw my phone on the bed. Schwarber, not surprising. I thought that you had a chance to get him out. Mm-hmm. But at 5 years, 150, there's no way he's leaving. I don't think there was any way the Mets were going to 5 years with him. I think 3 or 4 was their max. I think the same thing with the Red Sox as well. 3 to 4 years with him. I think he was the alternative short-term deal as opposed to the 5 or 6 year deal that Alonso wants or the 7 or 8 year deal that Bregman wants. I think he was that option for both the Mets and the Red Sox. And now they most likely pivot to those 2 players in either direction.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that for Philly had to do it. They need to add a lot more. I don't think this team is close to the Dodgers still, but this was the first step in it for them because he just fits so well there. How many career home runs does Schwarber have?
Let's take a look. I think 330 something. I was looking the other day.
So this is a real potential 500 home run guy.
340.
340. So this is a serious 500 home run case now with another 5 years in Philadelphia. But I agree with you that Boston is now the pivot team. We had said all 3 guys are interchangeable, whether that's Schwarber, Bregman, Alonso, the Mets, Red Sox, and Phillies. You could fit any of those 3 players into the other places. Alonso to the Phillies was the least obvious fit, but either way, any of those guys could have signed. All their bats would have fit. They would have played in the park. And now Schwarber's off the table. I think the Red Sox might be prioritizing Alonso based on what it sounds like. Better bat than Bregman by far. Maybe as good of an overall player, maybe a little bit worse. I love Bregman's defense compared to Alonso, but both guys have concerns on the contract long-term going into their 30s. I think that for the Sox, it's critical for them to make sure they get one because the last thing you need is Alonso back to the Mets, which I still expect, and then Bregman finds somebody else who's interested in the meantime, and he leaves, and now you're sitting there with no veteran bat. You probably have to add another older veteran who doesn't give you much, maybe a Ryan O'Hearn type of guy, fringe all-star hitter who's not nearly the player that Bregman or Alonso are. That's what Boston pivots to if they wait too long on this and botch one of these.
100%. I think they bring Bregman back. Like, I think it went too well last season. He fits that ballpark just way too nicely. And I think Alonso fits it very well too. And if they're serious about winning, they go out there and they sign both of these guys. Make them your corners for the next 5 or 6 years and go be a legitimate contender in the American League. But they're not going to do that. But I think Bregman's the easier spot for them, unless the market for Alonso is just so bad and it's so much cheaper than we think to get him, then maybe they just pull that trigger now and it's a contract that they think they could do. What do you think about this here? I'm not in love with this. Obviously, I'm not in love with Alonso, and I think there were alternate moves that they could have made that made a little bit more sense, but I don't think this is one of them.
Yeah, I agree. I don't like Tucker the way he projects in that outfield. I don't like long-term having corner outfielders of Soto and Tucker. I think that loses you a few games every year playing those two guys in the corner outfields at Citi Field. I wouldn't do it. I'm kind of out on Tucker for the 11-year contract, 10, 11-year deal. I think Bellinger's such a better route for everybody.
I think he's a Met.
He might be.
Feeling around the Mets is shock. Edwin Diaz had indicated to some he wanted to return.
Who's his agent?
It's not Boris.
I didn't think so. Either way, I think Bellinger's gonna fall within the week. I don't know if it happens right away. Did you see the Boris little like riddle he did?
Yeah, that was funny. He doesn't have an agent, or something. It's not like listed.
Okay, because Boris basically implies what? That the Dodgers, Yankees, Mets, Angels, Reds, and maybe the Blue Jays are all in on Bellinger.
Yeah, I saw that. Wasserman, by the way, the Wasserman group. I don't know if you ever heard of him.
No.
You've definitely heard of him.
Well, I probably have heard of people they represent.
Yeah. What was that last question? Sorry, I was searching.
Well, I was saying Bellinger, I think, is overall just a better fit for these teams than Tucker.
Yeah.
Except maybe Toronto. I think Toronto's got a great case of owner who's desperate to spend. You have a lot of trouble getting stars there. We could bring in an outside star finally.
Yeah.
Left-handed power bat in at a favorable place. And I think Tucker would be a terrific fit there. I just don't love how Tucker projects defensively throughout his career next to Soto in sharing an outfield.
I agree. And I think if you could do 7 or 8 years with Bellinger, who's a better defender and projects as a better defender elsewhere at different positions, then I'm so in for that. It's obviously less money, and you're taking a risk with the bat with how inconsistent he's been over the last 5 or 6 years. But last year he played really well at Yankee Stadium, and I think he could be a very productive player at Citi Field. I think he is obviously a valuable player, and I think it's a player that fits the Mets right now, I think, better than any other team because there's just that glaring of a need.
And I think you'll disagree with me here, but I don't know how much I'd want Bellinger if I can't also get Alonso back.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'd totally pivot my entire philosophy if I couldn't get both. I want, and that goes almost the same for Alonso. Like, I want both guys if I'm David Stearns and Steve Cohen. I want both players here. I think that gives us the best chance at winning, but I don't love either guy on their own when you look at the top 5 of that lineup.
Right. If you're able to bring in, you have Lindor, Soto, Alonso, Bellinger, as compared to just Soto, Bellinger, you're not feeling great about that. And listen, I'm going to say something. I don't think that's enough.
Soto
that's
and
the
Alonso?
crazy part. Soto, Alonso, Bellinger. Like, I think
Bellinger, yeah.
I think they need one more. And it doesn't have to be this massive move. I think they need one more thing to really put them over the hump. And I don't think it gets done.
They need that. They have to find that DH guy in the lineup. Because unless Vientos is going to be the guy he was 2 years ago, who's that extra bat that's really going to put you over the top? This is pitching aside. They obviously need a ton of pitching. But is Benj going to come up and just have this insane rookie year? You can't count on it.
Can't count on it. He's going to have a chance in spring to win the job. And I think he'll probably win the job. But you can't expect him to be, lights out the second he comes up. How about this? The Pete contract isn't what you think it is. It's a little smaller, and he's your DH.
I don't think he'll do it.
And no, I think he's willing to do it now. I think he has to be willing to do it.
I don't think he would, because I don't think Boston would make him.
But you're
Boston
paying him more.
No first baseman.
But you're paying him more. And you go out there and you sign Yandy Diaz. You trade for Yandy Diaz.
Boy.
Excuse me.
I think there's an aspect to Alonso's contract that has nothing to do with what's on the paper. He is looking for a desire from a team. I don't think the Mets project as we really want you here. You would really change this team. And then the Mets come off the Pete as we like having you here. If you left, we think we could do all right. But what
are they going to do?
I don't know, but I don't think Stearns likes Pete that much. I don't think he sits there and like begs for him to come back. I think Boston might be sitting there like, we need to bring you in here. We really think you could change this team.
I just don't. And I think they have to feel that way because I don't know what the other options are. You know, what are you doing to add offense to this team if you're not bringing back Pete Alonso?
I don't know. You almost think they'd go in a full-blown run prevention route, and you maybe even pivot. Like, say Boston signs Alonso tomorrow. Next day, Bellinger signs with the Yankees. Tucker signs with the Blue Jays. Mets are sitting there like, okay, how do we move forward now and continue to put the best team out there? I'm signing Bregman. I'm getting a lockdown defender at third. I'm trading the other 2 third basemen. Sorry, Beatty's gone. I'm moving those guys. I'm trying to add a guy like Yandy Diaz to first base. And I'm going full-blown run prevention. We will have the best defense in the league, and I'm getting every starting pitcher and bullpen arm that I can acquire.
Yeah, that's not going to do it. That's not going to do it. And the fans are going to be pissed.
Fans are going to be pissed. It's not my favorite option. It's not my second favorite option, but it would be the path if they didn't get any of those 3 guys.
This is bad. This is bad.
And you see free agency next year?
Is it good?
Best hitter is probably Jazz Chisholm.
Oh, so it sucks.
It's terrible. I don't think there's a $150 million player, $180 million player in the class. Just SKUBAL.
Sorry, I just read a title to an article that says, should the Giants trade Jackson Dart and draft Fernando Mendoza?
Obviously, they should.
Like, it just gets to a point. It gets to a point.
They're not going to have the first pick, so I don't know why it's an article.
Exactly.
Framber Valdez to the Mets.
Yeah, it's not happening. I keep seeing it, and it's not going to happen. They're not signing Framber. And I don't mind Framber. I just don't think that that's something they do. And thank you very much, Joe. I appreciate that. It's not brushed either. It's no shower. Just a little wet.
Just woke up that way. Wow.
Just woke up that way. Yeah. I did brush it.
That's impressive.
I brushed it.
So what are you gut feeling right now think the Mets walk away with in the next 2 weeks? Like the big guys. We don't need to do another full offseason breakdown.
I mean, you're really scaring the hell out of me here.
Well, we got to go through every scenario if we're talking about them. They're the biggest player in the offseason.
All right, King.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely Michael King. Is that big enough for you?
Both. Yeah, King's probably he's like
the
bottom line of guys that I'd say are really big.
Okay. I think Bellinger. I really am confident in Bellinger. We're taking him from you.
But you haven't said
3.
Pete.
That's 3 former Yankees now this offseason.
Yeah. With more on the way.
I think I don't know. I don't want to say Pete. Like I feel like I'm being very selfish if I say Pete right now.
It's tough. It's tough with Pete. I think Boston really wants him.
Yeah, I do too.
But I don't trust them to outbid the Mets if they want him. The difficult thing for me gauging where Alonso goes, I have no idea if the Mets want him or not. It doesn't seem very obvious.
I don't know if Cohen's involved in the negotiations, then I think he's back. Like if you start to get into some sort of bidding war with Boston, David Stearns realizes this is the only way I could go to bring, this level of offensive production back. And now I'm in a little bit of a bidding war with Boston, and Cohen gets involved. The Red Sox are done, right? But I don't think Cohen gets involved because Stearns wouldn't let Cohen get involved last year.
Do you think it's a good thing or bad thing if Cohen said that to Stearns and Stearns comes to him and says, hey, I don't like the contract Alonso's going to get. I just think that we're better off letting him walk. And Cohen says, no, you got to sign him. ask him what the number is, you got to sign him. Do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing?
I don't know.
Because, again,
Probably.
different situation, because I think the player is totally different. But I think, nobody talks about this, I think when Judge was a free agent, the Arson Judge moment was he was actually going to go to the Giants, and Cashman told Steinbrenner that and was like, hey, I don't like the contract he's going to get. I don't think I want to do it. And Steinbrenner, we all know this, called Judge and said, what's the number to keep you with the Yankees? That normally is something I don't like an owner doing, but if the player's great enough and you think it's that they'll contribute to winning enough, I mean, it's the right move. Like in the Yankees case, obviously it was the right move.
It's tough. It's a tough call. And obviously Alonso's not on that level, and I don't know what the numbers get to where Cohen has to get involved, but it's a tough call for an owner, and it's a tough call for a GM.
It is. I think an interesting aspect of this whole morning today was that the Pirates and Reds are jumping in as spenders. They both offered contracts to Schwarber. You can imagine they were both over $25 million a year, or at least close to if they weren't. And, you know, Pittsburgh especially, I think, is obviously trying to appease their players and fans, because you have this great pitcher who, if it goes south the way it's gone the last few years again, he might not be on the team after next year. So you have to try and satisfy your consumer and the people that you have on that team, and they're trying to spend. And I think that if they came away with somebody even decent, then you feel great about the Pirates. I mean, I think had Suarez to them, Gino Suarez to them in the predictions episode. And I think that if they could come away with a guy like that and a few other little moves here and there to just fill out the roster, make you feel good, they could flip a narrative. But nice to see some small market teams trying to jump in here and get a big name player.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think the Reds, I mean, you brought it up. The Reds were serious, really serious about this Schwarber thing. And you were on it. You were on it. Give
Always.
You credit.
Baseball, MLB Insider. Baseball
right.
Insider.
And they weren't able to make the move. Probably got to a point where it was a little uncomfortable for them at 5 years. So the Pirates, nobody's going to want to go there. That's the issue, right? And they're going to have to start this small. You're going to have to start with the Jorge Polanco's of the world and the Gleyber Torres of the world before you really start to get, until I think people really start to believe that you're serious about winning and spending money.
So this is an interesting post circling back to the Mets here. Ken Rosenthal on Foul Territory at 120. Did you see this?
No.
Said that the Mets are the most curious team right now because they don't seem to be heavy on anybody. Which, a couple different thoughts come to mind. One, it could be really early in the cycle of Bellinger and Alonso, and they're just not ramping anything up yet.
Right.
Two, somebody, an agent could have told, I think Boris is the agent for both guys, could have told Rosenthal, you know, this is the case, Mets aren't that heavy because they want the Mets to up some offers. Or three, maybe the most likely, Stearns is actively monitoring the trade market and he thinks there's maybe better opportunity there. Because if there's a Ketel Marte move to be made, which I don't think is in the cards right now for the Mets, or a Fernando Tatis move to be made, or a TARIK SKUBAL move to be made within December, I'm not even talking to any of these free agents right now if I'm David Stearns.
No, and that would have to be the reason, right? That would have to be the reason wwhy they're not hot and heavy on anybody on the free agent market. But in terms of the trade market, yeah, that would make a ton of sense. Ketel would be really nice if they didn't make the Simeon move.
Yeah.
You know, where are you going to put him?
Exactly.
But Tatis,
that makes you not even care about Bellinger.
No. SKUBAL, like we mentioned, sure. But pipe dreams. Now, you made a video today with a couple of these trades here, and I didn't get to read the article about the Padres or that excerpt that you had in the video. Can you explain it a little bit?
Yeah, really, really credible Padres reporter, one of the senior guys, put out an article that said Preller is looking to go big this offseason, not only with adding guys, but he said he thinks there's one or two moves that could rival the Soto deal to the Yankees in this offseason. And I started thinking of guys that could be. Tatis has been rumored before. I don't think he's a huge clubhouse fit anywhere. Yeah. So it doesn't stun me if they want to move off of him. Is Machado a tradable piece right now with that contract that he just signed? I don't know. It would definitely be a massive trade. Are they going to swing Mason Miller somewhere? I don't think so. So I think it would have to be Tatis.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense. That would be the move. And they're in a weird spot, man, because they have to make a decision on what's going to happen in terms of how much money they're going to spend, how much money they actually can spend with the ownership change, and obviously the death of Pete Seidler and the takeover by the brother and the sister, whatever it is. They clearly have to cut money. So what's it going to be?
And I think one way you're looking at that, if you're AJ Preller, is we're not a World Series contender right now. We have not been able to make much noise in the playoffs the last few years since they went to the championship series.
He thinks in his mind that he's one or two moves away from doing that.
Yeah, but I also think the one or two moves could be getting rid of one or two of your best players. And he probably thinks he can get, again, the big part of that excerpt is MLB ready players back in trades. He probably thinks he can trade Tatis for three players that could play this year. One of them probably pretty good. Like, say the Yankees, he got on the phone with the Yankees for Tatis just because they did the Soto trade. He calls the Yankees up for Tatis. They could use him. And he gets Ben Rice back. He gets Will Warren back. Maybe you throw in, like, Camilo Doval gets flipped after they got him at the deadline.
How about Spencer Jones? Let's get him involved.
But then I was going to get there, and then you get to Spencer Jones, or, instead of Doval, you get like a Dominguez, and you're getting a top prospect also. Or instead of Jones, they get Lombard because you're kind of swapping a shortstop for a shortstop, even though Tatis might play outfield. But that's a trade that makes San Diego better.
And they'll do what they did with the Yankee trade with the Soto deal. And then they'll flip one of the guys that aren't ready for a major league ready guy like they did with Cease.
If you got, I don't know what the Padres prospect pool looks like, but if you got in the Tatis move, and again, this is all just like right off the brain. I don't know what the value looks like.
Yeah.
If you got in a Tatis move, Ben Rice, you got, I don't know what the Mets equivalent would be either, but if you got Ben Rice, if you got Will Warren, Spencer Jones, or George Lombard, Jason Dominguez, it's 4 players right there.
Yeah.
Maybe an arms in the mix too. If you got those 5 players, you could go into the year next year having traded Tatis for, like Rice, the guys I just named, but Rice, Dominguez, and then you also add to the mix like Stephen Kwan or somebody. And Preller could be looking at that and saying, this team's way better. I made out really well on getting rid of a guy who no one in the clubhouse likes.
You think he's actually disliked in that clubhouse?
I do. I think it was clear as day after the steroid thing. They didn't even hold back on him. There was no like, hey, he made a mistake. We support him here. It was he's selfish. He did not act in the best interest of the team at all. He screwed us all over. And that's why I think a lot of teams, I think they definitely shopped him the year after he got suspended.
Yeah.
And nobody wanted him because I think there's legit concerns about him, but you can't deny the player.
You can't deny the player, especially now, but at the same time, it's a long commitment for somebody that has dealt with a lot of off-the-field issues and somebody that's not beloved in his own clubhouse. That's a lot of years to commit to somebody, and I know the money is doable. It's 20, 25, then it goes up to 35, and when he hits his 30s, or I think maybe even in like 7 or 8 years. But either way, it's a lot. It's a lot to commit to somebody.
Yeah, he's 27 right now. He'll be 27 in 2026. When he turns 30 in 2029, it goes up to $36 million a year. It stays that way until 2034 when the contract ends. This year it's $20 million. The next 2 years it's 25.
Right.
It's a doable contract for a guy who's a top 10 MVP.
Yeah. And he's a platinum glove kind of guy in the outfield.
Yeah, and you feel good with him at shortstop too if that's your need, even though he's not a great shortstop.
Do the Yankees play him at short?
I don't even think they would, because I think if they got him, Bellinger's gone.
Okay.
But they have these young outfielders too. So actually, yeah, they probably do.
If they keep the young outfielders.
Oh, well, yeah,
Or
they might
they
go.
keep
They would
one
probably
of the
go.
young
They would potentially go in the trade, yeah.
Yeah.
But you probably keep one of those guys. How much value does Dominguez have on
especially if you're setting Jones.
a trade? Yeah, and they already have outfielders there. So how much value does Dominguez have, really? And if you're sending Jones, maybe you go into this year with Dominguez, Grisham, Judge. You still have Grisham's gone next year, I'd imagine. So
how do you feel about the Evan Roberts' proposed trade, Vientos for Dominguez?
Listen, I saw it, and I just think we're forcing New York to New York trades on New York radio.
Okay.
That's it. I think there's some sensible aspects to it, but I don't think the Yankees would want Vientos, and I don't think the Mets would want Dominguez that much.
I would do the deal, but I don't think the Yankees want Dominguez. Want Vientos.
I definitely think the Yankees would be less inclined by Vientos than the Mets would be by Dominguez, but all David Stearns talks about is run prevention. You're going to go get Jason Dominguez?
Yeah.
He can't play defense.
No, I know.
He cannot hit left-handed pitching.
But neither can Vientos. Like, Vientos can't play defense either, so it's perfect.
Yeah, it's perfect. You swap two crap players for each other, but I do think Dominguez has way more upside.
I mean, this is crazy because Dominguez stinks too. So, like...
Yeah, we can't... I think if one of them was to become a good everyday player, it would be Dominguez.
Yes, I agree with that.
But if they did the trade, I would just be like, gross.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lose sleep, though. I just be like, I'm not going to shoot myself.
The biggest prospect in the Yankees, 10 years, 20 years? Bust.
Well, he's not. He's just the most hyped. Volpe. I mean.
Most hyped. Dominguez the most hyped.
Volpe best.
No. Oh, God, here we go. Who's the best? Oh, obviously, Judge. Yeah.
I think in prospect rankings, it actually might be Volpe.
What do you mean?
I think he might have rose the ranks higher than anybody.
No, but I'm saying like the most hyped up prospect
it would be Dominguez.
It's Dominguez.
Volpe not far behind.
Yeah. Agreed.
Judge was one of those, hey, this guy could be a decent player.
Best
might be a pretty good power hitter.
Second best player in the league.
Oh, he's going to hit 60 home runs and bat 350 every year? All right. Awesome.
I think Dominguez is a little bit more hyped than Glaber. I know Glaber was big.
Glaber was different because he was only a prospect with the Yankees for a year, so I think you're right.
And he was traded over for Chapman.
Or probably less than a year. He was
I think Dominguez.
prospect.
We heard about Dominguez for how many years? How many times do we hear the Martian?
The Martian.
How many years do we hear that?
Every Rising Stars game.
He can't play.
He was very bad last year. He was terrible last year. It was awful. If he moves the needle in any trade for an impact player, I'm fine with sending him.
I wouldn't do Dominguez for Beatty. I would not do that.
I wouldn't either, though. I'm not saying you're wrong. I wouldn't do that either.
You would do that deal. You're getting a starting third baseman.
I would not do that. I would not do that. I'm getting Ryan McMahon. I already have Ryan McMahon.
You're getting a much better offensive player, and maybe
I don't
not
think
that far behind of a defensive player.
I don't even think I am.
I'm not. I'm dead serious. By the way, I'm not doing Beatty.
I know you are. I can't believe the Beatty. There's any positivity really around Beatty besides like,
why?
He's a player. He's a bottom 3 guy in a lineup. He's an everyday guy,
sure,
but I think he's a total bottom 3 third baseman.
He finished the year strong last year.
He finishes the year strong every year. He starts the year strong. He's got this great month in the summer every year.
And he was great at home. He had 829.
Is this true? Is this true?
He had 829.
You wouldn't have. You said this once. You wouldn't trade Francisco Alvarez for Aaron Judge. Is this a real take? Is it because he looks like you?
This was. I remember where I was. It was 2023. Alvarez is just up. Alvarez is hitting all these nukes, and I think Judge was hurt, or he was hurt, wasn't playing great at the time, and maybe got banged up. I took it back. Obviously, I took it back.
I would hope so.
I took it back. But yes, that did come out of my mouth.
And again, on the Dominguez-Beatty front, you won't agree with this probably, but I once again think if either of them became an actual valuable piece, I would still think it would be Dominguez. The athleticism. I mean, if he learned to field, which he might not, if he learns to field at a league average, I think he's a way better player than Brett Beatty.
Beatty, second half last year, 9 homers, 20 RBIs, 830 OPS, hit 290. That's a good player.
Good player for half the season.
Had 3.1 WAR.
How many games is that?
Really solid at third.
How many games was that?
60.
There's 102 more every season.
55.
Go pull up Anthony Volpe's first 60 games of every season.
Yeah, it's not how you start, it's how you finish.
Well, Mets finished strong last year.
Brett did. I'm pumped for Brett. Brett's my starting third baseman.
That's fine. It's okay. I'm fine with that. Better get a lot of other guys, though.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like he's like 19 and we're like, yo, Beatty, he showed signs last year. I feel like this is the 10th year we've done this.
I feel like we've done this with Dominguez a lot, too.
Yeah, but he's actually only played 1 year. He was 21 years old last year. He's a rookie.
I mean, yeah.
He's 5 years younger than Beatty.
We're still going crazy over the 4 homer, 7 RBI, 8 games he had in 2023.
He also had that same stat line at Sacramento this year, so.
Oh, great. So I could subtract 4 homers from his count from 2025 because those don't matter.
You can. What else do we have? Free agency stuff, winter meetings. Anything here, really? What do you think the Yankees do?
Excited about this guy still. I don't get it.
I'm not, but you asked me if I'd trade him for Vientos and Beatty. I wouldn't.
And I'm fine with that. I'd
trade him. If Milwaukee was on the fence about Freddie Peralta or McGill and they said, you know what, we'd like you to include Dominguez here, that'll get it done. You're not going to get it done without that. I don't know what the rest of the package would be, but I'm assuming it's nothing insane. I'd be like, all right. You could take him. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I would drive him.
I'd buy the plane ticket. I'd fly the plane. You wouldn't make it.
I don't know
there.
if I could fly the plane, but I would certainly.
You wouldn't make it there. But
Rogue and drive him.
The Rogue would get him in there. Good shape.
Yeah, great shape.
He would love that.
Pressure's low. I got to fill that up.
I did that yesterday. You got to fill that up.
Yeah, it's bad.
What do you think the Yankees do here this offseason, though? Because there's a lot of different stuff on the Yankees right now. They don't want to spend $300 million. They're definitely going to spend $300 million plus. They are going really tight with the budget. They're not interested in Bellinger. They're interested in Bellinger. They don't want Tucker. They want Tucker. Like, I feel like nobody really knows what the Yankees want to do at all. I haven't had one rumor I truly believe, except for that they're interested in Ahmed Rosario. What do you think as an outsider?
Nobody, yeah, I would agree that nobody knows. I don't think they spend like this crazy amount, but they're obviously going to spend. I don't know if there's a limit, but no, there probably is a limit, right? I think with Hal, there's certainly going to be a limit on what Brian could spend this offseason. I think they're in play for Amai. I think that's somebody they would really want to get. You know, how available are the other starting pitchers on this team? You know, whether it's a Carlos Rodon who could be possibly available, whether it's a Will Warren, Luis Gil obviously could be moved. So I think they're going to go grab a Mai, but I also think they're going to move one of these starting pitchers for another bat somewhere in this lineup. And I couldn't tell you exactly what that trade looks like for them to improve offensively. But if Tatis is available, they're going to be involved. I don't have any doubt about that.
We spoke about this a lot. The reason that they maybe shouldn't be interested in a big starting pitcher, that shouldn't be where their resources go. And I'm reading this morning about Carlos Rodon. Did you see this thing about his elbow?
Say that again? Sorry.
Did you see this thing about Carlos Rodon's elbow?
No.
That by the end of the regular season, he couldn't straighten his arm
that's
anymore.
Good.
So I think that they got to get a starting pitcher because who knows what Cole looks like next year after missing over a year. Who knows what Rodon looks like next year with that. Fried's always an injury concern. Spent half the year last year with blisters on every finger, even though he kept pitching and he was terrible in the summer.
Yeah.
So I think you have to go get one of these guys, but it popped up again yesterday. It's the second time in a year now. Mackenzie Gore is very interesting if he's available. That feels like a Cashman trade.
I can't believe that he's actually available too in Washington, and Abrams apparently is available as well. I mean, what's the point of making these trades for you trading superstars just to get really good players in return just to flip them again for more prospects? I don't understand this, but yeah, if he's available, that's a great move. Great move for the Yankees to potentially make. He's a legitimate left-handed starting pitcher there that, he's a problem. And I want to say this, and I heard this yesterday on the radio. If Rodon was available for the rest of his contract right now, if he would sign a 3-year, around $80 million contract, that is very valuable to teams.
Yeah.
Man, as much as I don't love Rodon, if Rodon would hit the open market today and all I had to pay was 3 years, $80 million, I would do it. And I'm not the biggest Rodon fan.
I'm not a huge fan of Rodon either, and I think next year you're looking at a perfect world that hopefully exists where he's not even a top 3 playoff guy for you. It's Cole, Fried, Schlittler, and that's not a bad place to have Rodon. And if he's pitching games last year in the playoffs with an elbow that can't straighten, credit to the guy. That's insane.
That's nuts. That's nuts. And you're not helping the team, by the way, and he wasn't great in that start against Boston there. But
they won, but he wasn't great.
He wasn't great.
But still, I mean,
what do we do?
They need to add a starting pitcher, and they need to bring back Bellinger. And if you're not going to bring back Bellinger, you better have a pretty good trade up your sleeve because the lineup with Bellinger is not good enough. Even though they're the best offense in the league last year, I get it. It's not good enough to win a World Series, and that's obvious. Anything else?
Wow. I don't know how true this is. I half trust this guy, half don't. Mets guy.
Mm-hmm.
Last night, the Mets submitted an offer to Kyle Schwarber, rumored to be in the 3-year, $120 million range. It is unclear if that was their final offer.
Yeah, I don't know if I buy it. Michael Marino, I don't know. He's had some misses.
He's had some misses, but he's had some makes.
He has. Yeah, I'll buy it maybe 3 for $120. I think they definitely wanted him. Cohen loves him, you know that.
I know Cohen wanted him.
And he would have loved to take him from the Phillies.
That would have been awesome.
Would have been huge.
Interesting.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's going to be a wrap on today's episode of Winter Meetings Talk. Probably back at some point this week with some more. But today, the signings happened. I don't know if we'll get any more the rest of the day. If there are major signings, whether it's right after we sign off or at any point throughout the week, especially anything Mets, Yankees related, we're going to jump back on and go live. So keep an eye out. If the signings happen, we'll get live as soon as we can. Thanks for listening to this one, watching this one. You can always get it after the live on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. So appreciate it. And we'll see you guys throughout the week here as winter meetings take place down in Florida and some more signings hopefully occur in Major League Baseball.